The following is a Spirit Street production. You've discovered your link to the Powercat Podcast, presented by Fridge Wholesale Liquor. It's the Powercat Podcast. And now, let's go to the Spirit Street Studios. Here's your host, Go Powercat publisher, Tim Fitzgerald.
Welcome to the Powercat Podcast. Kansas State has a new football coach. His name is Coach Klieman. You all know that by now because you've been following along at Go Powercat.
I thought we just broke that now.
No. It happened last night.
Oh.
It's interesting looking at our metrics of the number of people searching for us on Google at 6 p.m. last night.
Boom.
Holy spikes.
Numbers don't lie.
Numbers don't lie. Hey, you know what? I want to thank everyone that listens, that visits the site. Go Powercat has absolutely taken off. It took a while, but here we are. We're grinding away. We are the fastest growing site on the 24/7 network now. Certainly outstretching those big sites out there that have thousands upon thousands of subscribers. Some real powerhouses. Michigan, North Carolina kind of dominate on our network. There's many other good sites, though. We are fastest growing both in number of subscriptions and percentage growth. So we are crushing it, and the reason is you. You are signing up, you are visiting the site, and the page views are just through the roof. I mean, it's amazing what has taken place. Appreciate you coming home to GoPowercat.com, and we are going to continue this coverage of Coach Klieman's hire as Kansas State's new football coach following the legend, Bill Snyder. And we have a lot more coverage coming down the road as he tries to put together his staff. Well, we hope he succeeds at that. Hope he actually has other coaches. I mean, it's going to be a tough enough job, Riley, but if you don't have anyone else on your staff, it's really challenging.
I'm not a football coach, but I could assume that it's not easy to do by yourself.
That was Riley Gates. Zach Carlson's looking pretty in the corner here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, baby. I'm Tim Fitzgerald. And I want to also thank my staff. That the job that they've done through this search process has been amazing. Guys, I'm going to brag on you a little bit. So we're all in our office. Okay, last night from about 6 o'clock on, we were talking to different people and whatever. Did I ever tell any of you to do anything?
No, nope.
I'd never issued one command, and it was like a basketball team on a fast break. Everyone filled their lanes, did what they were supposed to do, and the coverage was fantastic. And we all have our lanes, and we're going to keep cranking out copy. The search for a coaching staff, the impact on recruiting, and the launch of the new program once they get near spring football. And we will cover it all at GoPowercat.com. It's a new era in K-State football, and one that I know some people are reluctant about. We got tons of questions this week. A lot of new users on the site, so we made sure we've included many new voices into the questions from Wabash Station, and it's exciting. It's exciting. Guys, I'm just gonna step aside here. I knew K-State football, the life had come out of it in terms of fan reaction, the passion, when they lost to Vanderbilt, because I think we saw a grinding halt to our really aggressive launch at 24/7, and we were growing faster than they had ever seen, and it really stopped. I'm going to be honest, it stopped right there. That loss slowed things down, and it's been a trickle growth, and now it's taken back off, and we are closing in on numbers that we're really, really happy with. So, but it's been over a year since that happened. The fans have gone dormant. They were putting in their time, but they weren't really putting in their passion like they have in the past. This hire, and it really didn't matter who it was, is going to reignite that. Even if the fans are bitching, they're passionate.
It gets you something to look for.
They haven't really completely checked out. I think people are going to like Coach Klieman. I think he's the best football coach of the bunch. The question is, everything else that goes with being an FBS Power 5 conference football coach, will that overwhelm him? And I think that's what we're all concerned with, recruiting, management of the program, just walking in that building and knowing all of that now is under your purvey, or whatever the word would be. It's all up to you. It's your program now. So it's going to be daunting for him as he bounces back and forth over the next week or 3 weeks, depending on whether they win Friday night against South Dakota State. He's going to bounce between Manhattan and Fargo, and who doesn't want to do that? I mean, that's like a travel itinerary.
It's kind of weird.
Of a dream vacation.
He's going to come to Kansas in December, and it's like going to Cancun. It's nicer.
I know.
It's warmer.
I know. It's going to be, wow, it's toasty down here.
He's gonna be like all those Penn State football players and stuff, where they wear like no shirts and warm ups on the days it's like -10 or whatever.
Northwestern.
Wisconsin. Yeah, Northwestern. He's gonna be doing that. He's gonna be wearing like shorts and a tank top out there.
I thought
but
I was
they play
looking.
in a dome.
Yeah,
Play in a dome. Come on now.
Eskimos, they live in igloos.
The first time I saw that Northwestern guys warming up at Wisconsin in shorts, I thought I've tripped into 70s porn or something. It was awful. I didn't know what was going on. A bunch of guys in tighties, shorts, bouncing around in the cold. But you've seen that movie before, Zach, so you know what I'm
What's the name of it?
Guys in tighty shorts bouncing around in the cold.
It's not a very good title.
Okay.
They weren't very inventive back in the 70s.
Sounds like a South Park title.
Well, it is. It's South Park porn. It's a genre. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to get into that.
Anyway.
On the podcast. Okay, we're going to get rolling with our questions from Wabash Station. But remember, we are sponsored by Fridge Wholesale Liquor. Get into the fridge. It's the holiday time. You're going to be around family. You're going to want to drink.
Yeah.
That's the way it works at the holidays. And you probably have some gifts you want to give. And nothing would make me happier than if everyone that listens to the podcast would buy me a bottle of Woodford Reserve.
That's a lot of alcohol.
Nothing,
I've seen our podcast numbers.
Nothing would make me happier and probably never able to do another podcast than if everyone bought me a bottle of Woodford Reserve. Just go
That'd be years.
Just go down to the Fridge Wholesale Liquor and say, I want to buy one for Fitz. They'll just keep it in the back.
They won't have any left.
And then they'll just ship it to my house, which I think is illegal, but anyhow, they'll do it.
I kind of want to go down there and just say, no, I'm buying this for Fitz. Just put it in the back and see if they say anything.
See if they know.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. better call Kevin on that one. And this segment is sponsored by Tanner's. Guys, I want to be honest. I've got radiation brain. I don't know if that's a real thing, but I'm having these moments where I can't think. I get in the middle of a sentence. Happened to me on my TV show, Riley.
Yeah.
I was reading a sentence off a teleprompter in my brain. I seriously thought I was having a stroke. I was like,
I kind of thought he did too. I was like,
was,
they didn't edit this out?
We don't like to bust tape. We just like to keep rolling.
Well, if you had a stroke on camera, I would hope that they edited it out.
Yeah, they'd probably let Scott just like shove me off my chair and onto the floor.
He just kind of shoves you
out of the shot, and just Scott keeps rolling. So get into Tanner's. It's a fun time to get there. You want to know why? The students are gone.
Singo nights will not be as hectic.
So, hey, if you got a girls or guys night and you want to play some Singo, well, guys, don't do that. Now, look, I love Tanner's, but if you are taking guys night to Tanner's to do Singo, no.
It's an interesting choice. It's a bold and daring choice, one might say.
Yeah, anyhow, Singo is wildly popular, just not with me. Here we go. Questions from Wabash Station. Here's our MC, Zach.
From Darren Sproul's Superfan, give your honest, unbiased opinion of the hire.
Oh, man. Initially, I was kind of like, really? That was the initial thought. Unbiased, I kind of like it. You know, I think it's one that you can get behind as a fan. I think it's one that you can. This is a guy that's going to fit into this system. It's a guy that's going to. He's going to know what this is all about. You know, that's one of the biggest things out there is that Ron Prince didn't appreciate what Coach Snyder did. Didn't appreciate what K-State football was, and tried to make it his own. And I think Chris Klieman will do that to an extent, but he'll also realize what it was before, and he won't try to shove it off. And look, there's concerns out there. Of course there's concerns. There was going to be concerns if you hired Brent Venables. He's never been a head coach before.
Is he emotionally able to do it?
How can that be not a concern? So every single coach in the country has concerns. And to say that he doesn't have concerns is ignorant. To say that his concerns are too big to overcome, that's ignorant. I think this is one that fans really need to get behind and get excited about. And if it pans out, nobody's going to be talking about it, in 2-3 years.
Well, keep in mind this. Let me start with this. I didn't like the Bruce Weber hire, and I stuck with him for 4 years. So Chris Klieman, after 4 years, is pretty mediocre. I will write the column calling for him to be fired, and then he'll get really good.
Yeah, that's
how it works. Yeah, I'm good at that. I never thought Gene Taylor would actually pull the trigger.
No.
I didn't think... I know he knew the amount of backlash that was going to be coming was sitting out there. And actually, I don't think it was as bad as what I thought and what he probably feared. I didn't think he would do it. And that's why on our last stock report, we really thought he'd go with Neil Brown. At the end of the day, he had someone who really wanted it. He's a good coach. He's a likable guy. Probably would have been a good fit here. But he went with what he views as the sure thing, which I know a lot of people don't understand. And here's how it was explained to me by a source. It was really, he got a list of good coaches. You can't argue that all of these guys that were on that final list were accomplished. I mean, they knew what they were doing. They can win football games. They have won football games. Different levels, different conferences, really ran the gamut. He basically was an opportunity to kind of zero in on the hottest coaches in lesser conferences all the way down to the Missouri Valley of the FCS level. He knew they all could coach. So it came to the next step was who is going to fit here culturally and football-wise. That the product we put on the field won't be a shock to the system, and the type of program that is run won't run counter to what Bill Snyder did for so many years. And finally, the other check mark was, is this a pass-through job or is this a job they want? They may not. They might not stay for a prolonged period of time, but if they're successful, are they immediately on the phone with their agent, okay, what's the next step? Or are they trying to put down roots and really build a program long term? Now, probably it was a big advantage that he knew who this guy was to the core, but he felt like no one else on that list checked all of those things better than Chris Klieman. He wanted to be here. He feels like he'll stay a long time. He knows the fans are going to love him. And hell, he talked about a land-grant institution on the damn phone call. My sister texted me, are you serious? This guy's great. He talked about a land-grant institution. Most people don't know what that is.
You guys have cows on campus. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, when the north wind hits and the smell of manure comes across the stadium, he'll walk out and go, I'm home.
Yeah, that's exactly the way it's going to go.
Yeah, did I have other preferences? Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
Yeah, and we really made an effort at Go Powercat to stay out of the process in terms of really kind of advocating for anyone. This didn't feel like the right time for that. It was so not clear cut on who it should be. There was I think every candidate who came down the stretch, even going back to Luttrell, who turns out wasn't nearly as involved in this thing as what the public probably perceived. Luttrell and Norvell and Brown and Levitt and Venables, and they all brought things to the table, and they all would have been good choices in their own way. But none of that matters to any of us because we're not the guy making the decision, and the guy making the decision saw what he needed to see in the guy he knew. And I don't know if this is a question, but I want to cover this real quick. There was a search. This wasn't a charade. This was a legitimate search. They talked to it. Why?
That's the very next question.
Just go ahead and read it.
Yeah, from Solid 43. Why waste a whole week searching if you're just going to hire your drinking pal?
Wow. I never thought about hiring my drinking pal. You mean I could have hired my drinking pal to work here instead of you guys? I could make you guys my drinking pal.
Yeah, but you'd have to start drinking again.
Oh, yeah, I don't drink right now. Look, there was a search. It was a legitimate search. He did talk to all of these people. He wasn't wasting anyone's time. He wasn't wasting money on a search firm. That search firm's on retainer at all times. They helped with the baseball hire. They'll help with whatever hires next at Kansas State. They're just on a retainer. It's part of the cost of doing business at a Power 5 major institution. You keep them around all the time. So he went through the process, and, I almost wonder if he had answered some questions differently if Seth Luttrell hadn't gone deeper into this thing. He seemed to check a lot of boxes, but he certainly didn't check the box, I want to be at Kansas State. It sounded like I want to be at Kansas State to further my career.
Yeah.
But our sources have been pretty clear, and Gene Taylor basically kind of covered some of this. It never got to any staffing or salaries or anything. That's all been overblown. The only person that was offered the job was Klieman. The final two appeared to have been Brown and Klieman, and that's what it came down to. But there was a legitimate search. I think Neil Brown was close to getting this job. I truly believe Neil Brown was close to getting this job. He couldn't get past the fact, probably because of the fit thing. He's a Southern guy, and he wondered about his fit into a land-grant institution.
I think there was without a doubt a search. I mean, but this is my opinion, and maybe Fitz feels differently. I think from the start, Gene Taylor wanted to hire Chris Klieman. I think he probably, because he's built his list since the day he got on campus.
I don't think there's any doubt.
And I think he said
that he was measuring everyone against Chris Klieman.
Right. But there was no reason for him to, on Monday, the day after Coach Snyder retired, say, well, I think Chris Klieman's the guy for the job. Why not just call him now and offer it to him? That would have been stupid and not doing his job. So, yeah, I do think that maybe he took, whatever other candidates, whether it was Norvell or Luttrell, whoever, and talked to him earlier in the process. That way he could get an idea, say how did they stack up against Chris Klieman. And then we know for a fact, because Chris Klieman said it, they didn't talk until Thursday. So it was kind of later in the week. So I really think at the end from the start, this has been Chris Klieman, unless I'm more impressed by somebody else, and apparently he wasn't, and that's just the way it went. So that's how I feel about this. And so yeah, there was a need for a search, and he didn't just simply say, "I know Chris, hire Chris."
From Bootze, is it safe to assume that Gene has support from the donors for this? He wouldn't have been able to make this move otherwise. Is that right?
I don't think anyone's going to be entirely happy. I mean, some donors think Bill Snyder should have made the pick. I totally disagree with that. So we'll see how it all works out. It really, no matter who it is, if it had been this guy or that guy or Sean or someone else, Riley Gates.
Oh, do you think I was in the mix?
I do think I saw it on another website. I think that it's going to come down to wins and losses. Now, the difference is I think if you bring in Jim Leavitt or Seth Luttrell, and he's got the fan base fired up, and they know that the roster's a little bit depleted and they only win 5 games, I think people are like, okay, let's be fine. We're going to be fine. I have a feeling if Chris Klieman wins 5 games, they're going to be like, oh, crap, here we go. It's not going to work. He's never been through this before. All he's done is win, and now how's he going to handle this? So I don't know. I think patience is required, and patience is not something that society shows right now.
If I was on the list, I have to assume I would have been high. Maybe the first choice. Wouldn't be the first time I'd have been the first choice.
Well, I got to be honest with you. They called to do a phone video interview with you, and I posed as you using a sock puppet. I drew you.
And they bought that?
I drew your face on a sock and made the sock talk.
I got to question Gene Taylor's ability at this point, then.
You should probably think, wow, Fitz, you're good at doing sock puppets if they actually thought it was me.
Wow. This is a new one from K-State. It's N8, but I think he would like me to call him K-State Nate, so welcome.
Yeah,
have you heard any rumblings from dissatisfied boosters?
Not really. No. Well, a little bit. I think some people are worried that what the previous question was. Gene was just hiring his friend the whole time, wasn't he? So Gene and Chris Klieman are going to have to overcome that. They are. Mm-hmm. And I think it's fair for people to question that. And they need to have, they need to answer it in the proper way. I don't blame people for being upset, particularly if you're a big donor. You put a lot of money. These are the same people that knew Bill Snyder needed to step aside. You are investing in Kansas State football. You want your investment to flourish.
Because if it doesn't, it's going to take 5-6 years to recover.
Right, and you've built a lot of buildings that aren't serving their purpose, which is win football games. So I see why they would want to question things.
From Rusty Shackelford, another new one. Welcome.
Is that from Caddyshack? I don't know. I'm gonna check.
Coach Klieman has had tremendous success at the FCS level, yet we hear that he hasn't been approached by many other FBS schools prior to his hiring. Why do you think that this is? And surely a Group of 5 school would have had interest in him a long time ago.
I think that's again a very fair point. Look, he's been there for 5 years.
It's King of the Hill. I knew Rusty Shackelford. Go ahead.
What?
It's a character on King of the Hill.
You're looking at Dale Gribble.
Yeah, but it's used by the government. Paranoid Dale Gribble.
I didn't know that.
Gribble.
Okay,
go ahead.
Can you read the question?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I was on the Google thing.
It's why has Klieman not been approached by other FBS
He's only been the head coach for this year 5.
Yeah, this is 5th year. The first few years, you're going to get that. I'm going to call it the Bruce Weber treatment. Winning with someone else's players.
Yeah. Well, the columnist at Fargo alluded to the fact that he was on Minnesota's list when they hired what's his name?
PJ Fleck.
Yeah, that's what's his name. The boat guy.
And also, let me throw this in there. The poster asked about going to a G5 school first. The thing is, North Dakota State winning national championships at the FCS level, honestly, is probably a better situation than going to a bottom-tier G5 school. I think if you go there as Chris Klieman, say you win the 3 national championships and you say, I want to move up a level, and you take this bottom-tier G5 school, something like a North Texas that Seth Luttrell kind of came into, and it doesn't work, then you sink your career. So sometimes the situation you're in, the grass isn't always greener on the other side, I think. And I think that was kind of a situation there. I think he was waiting for the perfect storm, the perfect opportunity to come along. And you can't fault him for not taking a different job just because on paper it sounds better.
Some people would make the argument that North Dakota State right now to win the MAC, be competitive in the Mountain West.
Some people would argue they'd be a mid-team in the Big 12.
Yeah, exactly. I think for guys like this, they want to be somewhere where football matters, where people are passionate about it. And to go from Fargo to, I don't even know what to say, some MAC school where they really don't care.
Toledo
kind of cares.
Akron
doesn't care. Yeah,
Bowling Green.
Some of these programs have had success, but now they don't have people lining up to get into the gate. There's not a passion. It's part of the culture in Fargo. When Kansas State played North Dakota State in 2013, I got to tell you, it was eerie being on the other side of that, because I've seen the looks on the faces of other fan bases as the purple masses rolled into town. And the Green Horde came into Manhattan on that day.
It's yellow.
The Yellow Horde, was it really yellow?
They were yellow. They were wearing yellow.
They're both.
They all wore yellow.
Okay. I saw some green out there. Buddy's
mostly yellow.
That's like saying K-State's not white. K-State's purple, not white.
Let me continue my point.
Sorry.
And it was impressive, even though I don't know what color it was. They were everywhere. They were passionate. They were filling up bars. They were really good people. culturally.
You have to be if you're from North Dakota.
Yeah, well, you just want friends because you might need to hold them for warmth. And plus, you could end up being Canadian at any moment. I mean, honestly, let's talk about this. If Canada rolled across the border and claimed North Dakota, what would we do? Okay.
CFL champion Chris Klieman.
Okay. We'll talk to you later. South Dakota, you're now just Dakota. So I think there's so many comparisons between the two programs in that, just how it's so important in the community. People are so passionate about it, and they're so invested. I think that was important. I don't understand that he was supposed to go do this, get another job. Well, he didn't want to. It took something like this to get him out of there, and maybe he would have stayed in Fargo for 25 years coaching instead of going to a MAC program or going to a Mountain West program like Wyoming. I guarantee you Craig Bowl looks at his Wyoming team and thinks, my teams at North Dakota State would have kicked the crap out of this team. And he regrets going, probably.
Yeah, I mean...
But of course, he's getting paid more. That helps.
But
that money gets rid of a lot of regrets.
Yeah, it does.
Like living in Wyoming.
Like living in Laramie.
I guess my bottom line on it all is saying, look, somebody was going to take a chance on him soon. Whether it was a G5 school, whether it was a P5 school, or a P5 assistant, whatever. Somebody was going to come along and pluck him off eventually. He wasn't going to be a lifer at North Dakota State. So why not K-State? If it doesn't work out, he'll be gone in 3 years. And Gene Taylor will probably be gone too.
Exactly. There's no room for error here for Gene Taylor.
And you'll hit the reset button. And if it works out, and K-State goes and wins 7-8 games next year, 8 or 9 the next year, starts getting back to the level where you want to see this program at, you're going to sit here and proclaim from the rooftops how you have the smartest athletic director, and he made an excellent hire to, come in and pick this up. It's not going to be... It's either going to work out for you or you're going to get the change that you want.
Let me back up. For any North Dakota listeners that are just tuning in because we're talking about Chris, I'm just joking. I'm sure we'd fight for you. We wouldn't give you to Canada. We'd give Wyoming away in a heartbeat. But you guys got oil and ice, blocks of ice. Is that right? They export ice from, I don't know.
I don't think that's accurate.
Well, accuracy's never been important on this podcast. I just hope Chris Klieman doesn't come in and say, Wildcats.
Just change
Because
it to a Z.
he thinks he has to make a Z sound after being forced to do so for so many years. By zone.
That sounded French.
I don't understand the Z. I don't. I'm sorry. Sorry, people.
From KSU Grad 05, I think that's another new one. Welcome. Any truth to the rumors that Luttrell fell through because of assistant coaching issues? I don't believe it, but I feel like that rumor is the driving force behind some of the negativity towards Gene and Klieman.
Now we turn to Gene Taylor, who will sound a lot like Riley Gates.
Who's to say that I'm not Gene Taylor?
I have a sock puppet that would argue that.
Fair enough, I guess. Okay, this comes straight from the mouth of Gene Taylor. Brian Smoller sat down and didn't ask the AD segment with him, like they always do.
Do you think if they did that standing up, he'd gotten the same answers? I'm probing deep here with questions. Like it was... Okay.
Anyways, this is Brian Smoller. Quote, as we get into the details over the next few days, were there any stipulations put on Coach Klieman or any of the candidates for that matter about the current coaching staff retention? This is from Gene Taylor. Quote, no, there's not. As you go through this process, we have some really great assistants. All we told every candidate is, look, we have some great staff. We encourage you to interview as many or all of them, whatever you feel your needs are, because obviously they have coaches that they're familiar with and coaches that they've coached with or people they've worked with that are maybe at other institutions. But we never want to say you have to hire somebody. That puts that coach in a bad position and puts the assistants in a bad position if you think about it, because they only want to work if they're wanted to. boom.
Yeah, no, that never happened. And like the Seth Rattel. Who's Seth Rattel? It sounds like a macaroni.
Rotel.
Seth Luttrell rumors. We shot that down to Go Powercat. We shot down the concept that people were being forced to take coaches. None of that was true. Sometimes people got to stop listening to agents and representatives of people that want jobs or aren't getting the job because they say whatever they need to say to put their client forward or whoever they're representing the interests of. So, no, there's, and Gene, it's a really fascinating interview. Gene gets into a lot of the misreporting that was out there and how it impacted the entire process. Coming from a guy who was criticized for getting a story right, I think about it. The criticism of me is that I got a story right. I'm very proud of the fact that I don't get things wrong, which at the end of the day I was, but he just changed his mind. But that's what, you ran him off. He wanted the job.
So you reported that he wanted the job, and then he took it.
Yeah. Well, it's just, anyhow, it's just intriguing. Those comments, that's a really good interview.
It really is.
I like Gene Taylor because he'll just say it. He'll just say it.
He admitted. He said the reporting that was out there was impacting the search. It was negative.
Well, it was reported over and over that it was all but done.
And that it was done.
It was done. And then just because you delete stuff doesn't mean you didn't ever say that. It was widely believed that Seth Luttrell had been offered the job and was in negotiations with K-State. You can't deny that was believed. It was everywhere. And where did it come from? Well, it was never that way. Ever that way. It's frustrating.
From TN Cat, you've written that there were a lot of moving parts going on behind the scenes, discounting Luttrell as it sounds like that Gene moved on from him early despite some reports. How close were we to landing Brown, Norvell, or Levitt before landing Klieman?
I think
Such a loaded question.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to be. I got to do some more sniffing around this.
Guys, here's the thing. Last week, late, we honestly were at the point, Wednesday maybe, we were at the point where we said, I think it might be Norvell. And then a few days roll on, we go, maybe Brown, not really. And then I looked at Zach yesterday, and I was like, I think it's going to be Jim Levitt. So
yeah,
this whole thing was so back and forth.
I think Gene Taylor ran a lot of false flag operations here. He was putting out stuff. I don't know where I want to go with this. I suspect that Kansas State got into discussions. I think they really liked Mike Norvell a lot. He was a good fit, good coach. But I think his price tag might have been a little aggressive. He's at 2.6 at Memphis, and they paid Klieman 2.3, which I think is way too high. But
which means they would have needed to pay Norvell about 4, probably.
Yeah, they'd probably at least. I would think if you're going to make that jump, at least you want to get into the mid threes, and then that's less money to spend on staff. And you don't know what a coach says. That's another part of the negotiation. Some people talk about. They want to I want a $3 million salary. And oh, by the way, I want another $2 million for my assistant coaches or whatever. So that's part of it. I think Kansas State got in a little bit deep with Mike Norvell, and it just didn't work out. It just didn't get to where they wanted it to, and I think that's part of what took so long. I know they made a run at Venables, and that was denied. I know they had some real interest in Neil Brown, and I think it just came down to they felt safer at that point with Klieman because they knew it was more of a known commodity to them.
From Teverson, how much say do you think Snyder got in this hire?
Not much. I don't think so. I think they asked for his input, and he said Sean. That's what happened. He pushed Sean to the very end, and I think the wording is appropriate input, and I think that wasn't appropriate.
I think they gave him and this is speculation, I'm not reporting this. I think they gave him a chance. They said, okay, we know what he wants, we know what he said in public. When it comes down to the actual time, who's he going to throw out to us? And if he threw out Sean Snyder, There you go. There was your chance, and you kind of
voted for nepotism.
Yeah.
You voted. You just wanted it based on his last name, and he's your son. I will sit here and say this. I think if Bill Snyder had strongly advocated on the behalf of Jim Leavitt from the moment they asked him, to consider retirement, if he had said, "Okay, I'll retire on your terms if Jim Leavitt is the next coach," I think Jim Leavitt would be the coach of Kansas State.
I do too.
But it didn't come to that. He didn't really advocate for that until, if he did, it was too late. They had moved on, and they talked to Leavitt in New York. They liked him, but I think the age was a hurdle there. Mm-hmm. The temper was a hurdle there. But if he had strongly advocated on his behalf instead of pushing Sean, bringing Sean back up to the team at the final team meeting, just strange. And this is why people are like, well, why did he leave? He doesn't understand. The team did not want Sean to be the head coach. They didn't want that, and he was under the impression they would be happy if Sean was their coach. They absolutely didn't want that. So, I don't know. And the next question, I don't know if Sean will be on the next staff. I don't think he'll be on the coaching staff. He might be on the support staff, but
we'll get into the future in the second half.
Another new one from Dirty Randy 77.
I laughed. I laughed so hard.
Let's slow down here. Dirty Randy 77?
Yes, Dirty Randy 77.
Do you think there were 76 other Dirty Randys?
Like he just typed in Dirty Randy and 24/7 was like, sorry, that's not a unique name. All right, Dirty Randy 2. Not unique. Yeah, not unique.
Yeah.
Dirty Randy 3.
How do I want people to know that I'm a 41-year-old K-State fan named Randy? I'm going to be Dirty Randy. Born in 77.
I like it. Or he graduated college in 77, and he is a dirty, dirty old dude. I don't know.
Okay, I was trying to do the math there. I couldn't do it.
Come on now.
I've fallen in love with some of these names that people have chosen. People are a lot better at naming themselves now than they were back in the day. Dirty Randy 77. I like you, Randy. You and I need a party.
Okay, welcome. I wasn't truly expecting Gene to hire Klieman, but I'm okay with it. What does surprise me is the salary. Do you guys think we overpaid, or do you think it was about right?
Here's what I'm going to say. I don't necessarily think I don't hate the price tag they gave him. I think they could have got him a lot cheaper. I think if they had cut it by $1 million, he still would have jumped at it.
What was he making? What's he making now?
$300,000.
What?
He wasn't making $1 million, I don't believe.
No, I think it's like, yeah. I don't know. Maybe it was just someone joking that he was making the 0.3 at Fargo, and now I got the 2 in front of it. I don't know. It is a FCS program. I mean, the budget's much smaller. I think if you had, I don't know. Yeah, there's so many things to this. You don't want the perception that you're the cheap program. You don't want the perception that it's not important to you, so we only paid our coach 1.5. But I'm fine with 1.5 and $100K per win.
He was making $300,000 a year.
Okay.
I think he could have. What they give him? 2.3, 2.6, 2.3. I think he could have given him 1.5, and he'd have jumped.
1.5 will accelerate you with every win you get your first year to that.
But I don't feel like
that'll be your new base.
I'm not sitting here looking at his contract like, holy crap, K-State, you sunk in your budget. And I'm interested to see what the buyout is. We'll find that out tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll find the whole contract details, I assume.
Yeah, the contract will be made available tomorrow.
And I want to know what the budget is for assistant coaches. If he has to get an offense coordinator, look, we're talking about Clemson. 2 of the candidates, Clemson's defense coordinator getting 2.5. Oregon's defense coordinator getting 1.5 to 2. I mean, is it possible that he would have the green light to pay an offensive coordinator, high 6 figures, $800,000? Man, Eric Wolford at South Carolina is his position coach, and he's at $600,000. So, I mean, this is silly. This is silly. As much as I appreciate college football and I believe in the free market, I can't believe that the market is actually driving salaries that are this high, because athletic departments are going broke. So no, that's not market forces to me. If you're going broke, it's being silly with your money.
From Estonia Cat, this is the last question of the first half. I would like to know what it was like for the GPC staff to chase this story.
Crazy.
Well, Scott's a journalist, so he's curious about these things.
It was. Why are you giving away his identity?
I'm sorry, Scott.
It's a screen name.
Anyone who knows him knows he lives in Estonia and teaches journalism there.
We worked every source we had. Twice. I mean, we hit up everything from you got former players, you got current connections to the program, you got everything, and I really don't think anybody was trying to mislead us on anything along the way. We probably talked to some people that knew some pretty concrete stuff, but you got to realize some of the people we talked to have certain things they can and can't say. I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if Gene Taylor was in our back pocket, you know.
He's not going to just give it to
He
you.
would have stuff he had to keep to himself.
Yeah.
So, but it was a lot of fun. You know, just thinking about all the different possibilities, you know. When we brought up Levitt, you know, we're talking about potential Levitt guy. Okay, well, who would he bring in? Ooh, what if he brought in Eric Wolford as the offensive line coach? Well, then you got more K-State guys. And just all the possibilities out there as we sat here and looked at all these different candidates and we kind of analyzed them was a lot of fun to do. And I got to know more about these coaches. Like, seriously, when I saw the Eric Wolford Twitter charge from all the former players, I was like, really? You serious? And then I dove into Eric Wolford, and I was like,
he's a good coach.
Okay, not a terrible candidate.
He's a good coach.
So it was fun to get to know some different names out there and kind of follow the process along.
It's fun. It's exhausting. There's nothing quite like a coaching search in our profession because it's chaotic and it changes, you know. For K-State, it's football coaching searches. There was just a basketball one 6 years ago, but that isn't nearly as chaotic. There's not the passion around that. I mean, I said on my TV show last week, it'd be just like if KU went through a basketball coaching search. I mean, just the level of insanity that would erupt amongst KU fans and their social media would be epic. And it's the same way here. And last time you went through the search, they had Patterson, and then he backed out, and then you ended up with Snyder. And it was kind of a weird – that took a 2-week process. Think about that. This was an 8-day process. It took 2 weeks. Patterson was on the line for about 10 days before he backed out, and then the 2-week window was up that they used to have to observe and yeah. So it's crazy. This is where being experienced on the beat really pays off. We've got sources – at the donor level, at the player level, the ex-player level, the administrative level, in the coaching fraternity level, agency level. You've built up a lot of connections and friendships through the years. That's why, it was so easy when the first Luttrell reports that he had been in town, or his agent had been in town, were so easy to shoot down. So we called someone who would absolutely know, and they said, no. We texted them, they LOL'd that, and no, there was no one here. And if they did ever come to town, I don't think K-State even knew about it. I think they were just coming to town to hang out and be spotted. Because Seth Luttrell raised his profile enormously with this search and probably never was ever going to come. He got a raise at North Texas, got a bigger budget at North Texas, and will be on the front of any discussion going forward. If, major program opens, Seth Luttrell might have a chance to make the jump to, I don't know what program I'm even trying to think of. USC. If in a year that comes open, maybe that's where Seth Luttrell would bounce to. We don't know. And but it's fun. It is exhausting. It's nonstop. They're basically on call at all times. And having this many people on our staff is a real advantage for GoPowercat.com because we're able to cover a lot of bases and get it. Our information was virtually spot on until the very end when I knew it was getting close, when as of Sunday, it kind of all shut down. The information just shut down, and I knew they were close on making a decision because the people that had been sources, and I saw someone on the board said, they had been talking to someone, and they too shut down over the weekend. So I think they said, okay, let's rein it in here. Nothing gets out as we get really close within the 48-hour window of hiring the coach, whether it had been Neil Brown or, as it turned out, Chris Klieman. So it's fun. I don't advise it for anyone's health to be too often. But,
yeah.
But
I've eaten a lot of fast food in the last week.
Yeah, but I get weighed every week at the doctors for radiation. I'm like, oh, it's been a fat week. I've been on a cruise. Been on a journalism cruise. Well, that's it for the first half of the Powercat Podcast, sponsored by Fridge Wholesale Liquor. And this segment was brought to you by our good friends at Tanner's down in Aggieville. Get down to Tanner's. Maybe there'll be a soccer trophy down there you can get a dance with.
The Powercat Podcast continues shortly.
I'm trying to get a group text in on what everybody wants on the liquor store run, but my phone keeps autocorrecting liquor store to the fridge.
A fridge or the fridge?
The fridge. It just did it again.
Well, the Fridge is more than just a liquor store. The Fridge has over 3,000 wines in stock, the area's largest selection of spirits and craft beers. Plus, they're back-to-back winners of Beverage Dynamics Retailer of the Year.
Oh, I get it. Wow. Smartphone.
Autocorrect your next liquor store visit to the Fridge Wholesale Liquor, 1150 Westport in Manhattan. Online at fridgeliquor.com.
For more than 20 years, there's only been one reliable source for exclusive and unmatched premium K-State sports news content. It's GoPowercat.com. The tradition continues as Tim Fitzgerald, D. Scott Fritchen, and the other Go PowerCat sports experts continue their relentless coverage of K-State sports. So make sure you're subscribing to the one and only Go PowerCat. Hey, K-State fans, it's time to come home to GoPowerCat.com. We now return to the Powercat Podcast.
Welcome back to the Powercat Podcast, sponsored by Fridge Wholesale Liquor. We went a little long in the first segment. It's not really long. Tyler Dreiling pointed out we used to do epic podcasts, 3 hours long. Even the listeners were complaining.
I mean, if you want to get real technical, we've been here a while.
Yeah, but what we're doing is record, work, and then I'll put up the podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm anxious to meet him. Not anxious. I'm excited to meet Chris Klieman.
I thought you were talking about Tyler Dreiling.
I know Tyler Dreiling. Well, I'd go meet him when he's in Hawaii. That's kind of nice. Is he back in Hawaii yet?
Yeah.
He's been back there for
I have no idea.
He's only here for a week.
I don't stalk his social media as much as I should. Now he's in Hawaii.
He doesn't tweet as much Hawaii stuff as he does hot takes about K-State's coaching search.
Yeah, well, there's pretty good hot takes out there.
Like how Neil Brown looks like Pete Hughes.
That was weird. That was uncanny. If he had hired Neil Brown, we would have had problems on campus. Everyone would think the coaches were the other guy.
Some major questions for Ventura partners.
I know. Are you just looking for guys that look exactly like this? Because I don't think that's good use of your resources.
That's probably not a
finding
good business
robots.
strategy.
And we don't want you hiring a women's coach for us, a female coach that looks like this. Because that wouldn't be good. I don't know.
Not at all.
Guys, I just read something really good on Wabash Station. Someone that went to bed really angry about the hire and woke up and thought, I can't control this. Why am I so angry? And then kind of came to peace with it and, said, hey, it's not cancer. I know he just lost his brother-in-law and he knows what I'm going through. And he said, I'm going to go buy 4 tickets. So he just went out and bought 4 season tickets for the first time in a long time. He goes, I'm not going to be able to get to many games, but I wanted to show support for the program.
It's a very impulse buy. It's not a cheap thing to do.
I was angry last night, and now I'm a season ticket holder. What have I done?
I know. I need to get angry about Las Vegas. Go to bed, wake up, book a trip. God, Las Vegas, I hate you.
We can't
You
all
say
do
that
after
after a lot of nights in Vegas, don't you?
I don't think I've ever said that. No, not since the IV center's open.
I was about to say.
Yeah, since then, I think I've been fine with Vegas. I'm not a big gambler, so I never have a night where I wake up and,
You leave the casino when the sun's up?
Yeah, okay. But it's Vegas. It's nice. You start late, you end early, so to speak, early in the morning, and then you get
See, I
back
don't
after.
like that a whole lot because to me Vegas is two things. It's the nightlife and it's also the day life is fascinating.
Yeah, pools.
Pools, walking the strip, things like that.
You get over walking the strip.
I mean, I enjoyed it when I was there.
After 7 trips, you don't go anywhere. you go to where people are entertaining you, and you just go to those places. You get a car, and you go from your front door of your casino resort to whatever casino resort you're going to. That's what you do. Or you go downtown. Downtown's, you got to do, if you're there for like 4 nights, which people say that's too much. No, it's not, because you put one downtown night in it. It's a completely different experience. But yeah, you got to have a pool day.
Well, best of luck with your Vegas.
Yeah, my buddies are all texting. It's time to go, Fitz. Time to go. You're about through your radiation. Got a coach hired. Here we go. I'm like, well, I still got to cover basketball here.
That's the thing. It feels like we're on the downslope, and we're kind of like, okay, we can slowly start to. It'll be a little bit less hectic. Oh wait, basketball.
Yeah, but it's weird right now. They're just playing every Saturday.
We have so much break right now with basketball.
I don't know what's going on, man. It's like a bad high school schedule. We're just going to play once a week. So, I don't know. Welcome to the Powercat Podcast. If you don't listen on a regular basis, this is me and 2 trained monkeys talking about K-State sports. Well, one trained monkey talks about K-State sports. The other trained monkey asks the questions.
He's more than willing to jump in and share his opinion.
But Riley talks too much, and I lose interest.
There we go.
I'm giving the people what they want.
Zach doesn't say much, but man, he drops a hammer when he does. And we are sponsored by Fridge Wholesale Liquor. Get into the Fridge right here in Manhattan at the corner of Westport and Claflin.
Look at you go.
I still almost said West Loop.
Judges?
I
yes,
almost said West Loop.
That is where the fridge is.
Right there. It looks like a Blockbuster video if you've never been to the Fridge, because it was a Blockbuster video. Ask for if they have Die Hard on VHS. I really want someone to do that. It's Christmas time. It's a great Christmas movie to show to your kids, and get in there and say, do you have Blockbuster? Do you have Die Hard on VHS?
No, don't. I mean, yeah, do it. They're going to be so confused.
I know.
He's so confused.
I like to do that to our sponsors.
It's not like we've called up the Fridge and said, hey, if someone asks for Die Hard on VHS,
Hey,
we need to get on eBay.
If they sponsor this show and then don't listen to it, that's not my fault. They should be fair warned. If they're going to give us money to be on our show, I'm going to do incredibly bad ads that people will remember and get people to do weird things at their store.
fair enough.
Okay, there we go. Go to the Fridge. This segment's sponsored by Wahoo Fire and Ice Grill. Incredible people. If you're planning something for Christmas, think about doing it at Wahoo. You better get on the books. They got a nice little private room. We'll seat about 12, 16 sober people and 38 drunk people. So get into Wahoo, because you're more flexible when you're inebriated, Zach. You can just kind of wedge into corners. Get into Wahoo. It's great. It's such good food. Man, it's good food. I haven't eaten there too long. I just don't. I'm on such a limited diet right now. Basically, I can't eat anything with edges. My doctor tells me we don't want you eating any fruit or vegetables, and I'm like, where have you been all my life? What?
This is amazing.
This is why we
incredible.
ate a plate of macaroni and cheese yesterday.
And then the other doctor's like, no red meat.
Yeah.
No fun.
Yeah, exactly. I got one set of doctors telling me I can't eat anything that isn't like healthy, and I basically have my radiation doc telling me you can't eat anything that's healthy.
You can't eat anything.
So pretty much I'm getting by right now on Sprite and Sweet Tarts. Do Sweet Tarts have fiber?
I know you hope so, but I don't think so.
Are they
no
an
idea.
actual fruit? Because I can't eat them if they're actual fruit. Let's quit messing around. We got lots of questions here in the second segment, and here is Zach Carlson.
From Mountain Joe, what are you hearing from current players and recruits on this hire? Do you think it will cost us any of them?
They're hype. Players are hyped, dude. Like, for real. They're excited. And I think it's half the winning culture that he's going to bring, and it's something new. Everybody likes the shiny new car, you know?
If you're a player, you're scared of the unknown. You know, you don't know what's a new coach going to come in here thinking. Are they going to run a completely different system? I was recruited to do this and that. And I think they're at comfort knowing what North Dakota State wants to do isn't radically different than what Bill Snyder's offense wants to do. Hopefully less predictable than that offense has been the last few years. But they know that if they were recruited to Kansas State, all of a sudden they're not a toy that doesn't belong in the toy box anymore. They know they're going to have a chance. And whether you're number 1 on the depth chart or number 4, you know you're going to have a chance. It's wiped clean. You got something to prove. I think they want some coaches to stay, some coaches to leave. You know, they get their vote now. I mean, Chris Klieman comes in and goes, you know, I want to talk to you about coaches. Who do you think? They'll lay it out, man. They'll say, I want this coach. This coach is really good. Players like him, you know. So they're empowered a lot right now, and I think they're really optimistic that they're going to get into a program. You know, the difference between players and fans and the reaction here is astonishing. We thought the players would be mad. People were like, well, the players are all going to leave. The players are fired up, man. They got a coach that's wearing rings. You know, they probably, when they learned about who it was a couple weeks ago, some of these guys watched their game last week against Colgate and said, man, this team's good. They're legit. And I'm telling you, you watch North Dakota State, 7 p.m., Friday night, ESPN2. They're in the semifinals against South Dakota State. That is basically their rival.
It's essentially going to be the FCS National Championship.
It is, because that bracket is tougher than the other bracket, which is Maine. Listen to me, folks. Maine traveling to Eastern Washington.
That sounds fun.
I hope they chartered. I hope they didn't have to fly commercial as a football team. But I'm sure they charter. I'm sure the playoffs charter them. I'd hope. Yeah, this is a really good game. This is a big-time game. But you watch them, and you, particularly on defense, you watch North Dakota State, you're going to see dudes, he would have helped K-State, he would have helped K-State. These guys can play. And honestly, they've 67-6. A big part of that is they are a lot better than almost every FCS team. They've got better dudes. And they've set a bar that's really high. And I think the players think, we want that here. We want that here.
From Bootsay, how many years does this coach need to build up something that can compete at a decent level?
I don't think K-State's that far off from being competitive.
And I think that's why it was this year it had to be done, because guys were transferring, and if there was more erosion of scholarship players like there was last year, then the program was in big trouble.
I mean, just look at the – sorry, go on.
Yeah, it's not going to be like he can come in and win 11 games next year. There's a couple years of recruiting that really need to take place. But if he can come in, if they can save this recruiting class, and he's going to be on campus quite a bit here, I think, this whole thing about him sticking around up there is true, but a lot of the coaching is going to fall on his staff. They're going to get through Friday, and then but he's going to be here Wednesday and maybe Thursday. They'll get through Friday's game. And then he'll have a little break because it's a 2-week window before the championship in Frisco. He's got to get something done in this early class. And honestly, I think they're going to need to hit the JUCO ranks a little bit harder than you normally want to. I'm not talking 12 guys. Maybe they can find 6 or 7 guys that can help the team immediately. If they do that, I think that'll be okay. If they can retain players. Alex Barnes is probably gone, going to the NFL. Here he's getting good feedback, waiting on needs to get a really professionally timed, electronically timed 40 time under his belt, and if that goes well, he's going to go. But if you can get him back, man, Alex Barnes and that North Dakota State offense would be effective if that's what he's going to run.
Picture this. Last Chance U, Part 5. K-State coach Chris Klieman is in the school. Oh, wait, no. We don't know where it's going to be yet. They'll probably move it.
Do you think they're only doing 2 seasons in Independence?
I think they'll probably just do 2 seasons and move on, like they did with EMCC.
That wasn't the plan. EMCC said, we're done with you.
Oh, they did?
Yeah. I think Independence is probably about to say, we're done with you, too.
Yeah, they didn't have a great year.
Well, I don't even know.
I mean, I don't know it off the top of my head. I just know they lost a significant amount.
I just know we went to 1 game this year. It was their first game. They won it, and that was the only game they won for a while, I think.
Yeah. Wasn't great.
Wow.
I'm still hoping we're on that tape.
You wore a lime green shirt.
Specifically to be on that tape.
They're going to cut around you. They knew.
How did we get on this?
I'm sorry. That was my fault.
Yeah, I don't know. Oddly, I read something about KU trying to get inroads at Independence. I'm telling you what, Independence is recruiting any and everyone. If you're not in jail, you can play there.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they lost some guys because they had to go to jail. And I don't have my normal hang-ups with junior colleges, but that's not the junior college I want to spend a lot of time recruiting. No, not coming out of that program and that coach. No, I'll take a hard pass.
From KSU, man, our current recruiting rank is 82nd nationally and 9th in the Big 12. Where do we end up?
I don't know if he means 2019, but it can't be too much higher than that if it's 2019.
Well, I mean, they got a whole nother second. A lot of guys aren't signing right now. That's the biggest difference, and Gene Taylor talked about it in his video. The early signing period is a new beast. This just started last year. So a coach could come in previous to last year and steal guys. I know you're verbally committed, but I want to talk to you. And then lo and behold, happened in K-State all the time. They switch right before the February signing period. That's a long time to hold on to people. That's why they installed this. And it really puts programs like Kansas State that are going through a coaching search right now, or coaching change right now, at a disadvantage because a good chunk of the market is locked up. Now, I see an advantage in it from this standpoint. You don't waste time on those guys. You might have gotten one or two guys to switch, but you're probably talking to 10 to 12 guys about it. You're done. They're off the table. Onward you go. You go find the guys that are still out there. And the whole transfer market now becomes a bigger deal. There might be some fifth-year transfers on this roster next year. Some guys that can come in. It's going to be new for everyone.
Maybe some from North Dakota State.
You just don't know. I'm telling you, there's some dudes up there that could play at this level. They just didn't get the opportunity. It's not like Kansas State is the only magical place where they find people that were missed in recruiting and they end up being pretty good. Carson Wentz ended up at North Dakota State because nobody else was really after him. He turned out to be okay. Pretty good football player.
Although you wouldn't know it by watching the Eagles this year. Hey-o.
Oh,
that's my zing as a Cowboy fan.
That's the inner Cowboy right there.
From Powercat, allowing him to finish the playoff run, good or bad?
Bad.
I don't like it.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I think Gene was being a little too loyal to his old employer there and his friend. I don't like it. That's my one biggest hang-up.
I like the other side of it is that it's a 3-hour commercial every time they play.
That is
for K-State.
Very true. And, Friday night they're on ESPN2. The other semifinals on Saturday afternoon on ESPN2. And Friday night, that's going to be a good window. A lot of people are going to watch that game. And not just K-State fans. Other people that are college football fans are going, okay, what's this guy about? What's this team about? Why would K-State go hire a dude from Division II? It's not Division II, people. Let's clarify this. They are not Division II. Division II is a whole different thing.
It's Fort Hays State.
That's Fort Hays State. North Dakota State is a Division I athletic program, just like Kansas State. The football part of Division I, so North Dakota State competes in the NCAA tournament. If they win their conference, they're going to the NCAA tournament, like UMB and all those other schools. They're Division I. Football programs are divided into two groups. The 1A and 1AA, now called the FBS for the Bowl subdivision, which is Power 5 and this, and then the FCS, the old 1AA, which is the playoffs. Now let's just take this one step further. So part of part of Division I can play playoffs and it works fine. But the other part of Division I, we can't have playoffs because it's too complicated. Is that right? Am I getting that right?
It would all back up.
So in the lower part of what's Division I football, those kids can go play a bunch of playoff games and their academics don't matter. In the upper part, apparently being a student athlete means more, that you can't miss any classes for playoffs, because that's the excuse. You miss too many classes, even though a big chunk of the playoffs happens during the semester break. So anyhow, that was an aside, but keep that straight. They are Division I just FCS, Football Championship Subdivision, FBS, Football Bowl Subdivision.
Like AAA baseball?
Not like that at all.
Okay. Now you're confusing people.
Not like that. It's like...
Well, yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I guess, yeah, it's completely different. What I mean is it's almost like the minor leagues. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to make that analogy there. Not that it's lower level.
I bet you there's a better soccer analogy in there than baseball. And I mean that.
Yeah, maybe, but
teams move up and down.
Right. In Europe, you have the lower levels. If you're in the Premier League and you're one of the 3 worst teams, you get bumped down, and then the 3 best teams from the lower level get bumped up. So I guess maybe that's better.
Yeah, and they are doing things at that 1AA level, the FCS level, that have never been done before.
I feel like it's as simple as saying 6A versus 1A in high school. You're playing on the same scale essentially.
I would say 6A, 4A.
Okay, yeah, whatever. Well, I'm saying 1A because everybody's out here saying Chris Klieman can't coach at this level, and they would look at a 1A student athlete and say, "Oh, he can't play at this level." But I guarantee you, there's 1A athletes out there that if you plucked them in a Blue Valley Northwest or something like that, they would do just fine.
Like Dean Wade.
Yeah. So just because it's on a bigger scale, just because it's a bigger school, gets more attention, doesn't necessarily mean it is different.
Yeah, I would say it's more like 6A, 4A, and then your Fort Hays is a 2A, and then the Division III programs out there are 1A.
I guess.
It really does start to drop off. And you go to the NFL, you'll find people that play Division II and even Division III in the NFL. But you're going to find a lot of guys from North Dakota State in the league right now. Almost as many as K-State. Wrap your mind around that.
From Exit 313, welcome to the podcast. Are any coaches from the former staff going to be retained, and who's the first person Klieman calls as the new coach?
Probably me. Me, yeah. You can call me. Wants from food recommendations. He knows I'm this guy. And I'll probably recommend a liquor store, too. Got to think who that'd be. I don't know who his first call would be. I'm really not sure. Maybe that guy who they always said, when we have a big-time job, we're going to call each other. Yeah. And maybe his first call is his OC that he knows he wants to hire, or someone like that.
Maybe his first call is a K-State guy.
Maybe. There's some K-State guys out there on the market. I don't know. I don't know the dude well enough yet to know who he's going to call. Maybe he's just recruits. Maybe he's just picking through the commitment saying, hey, I got a bunch of rings. They go bling, bling, bling. Come play for me. That seems like a pretty simplistic pitch there, but, bling, bling, bling sounds pretty good to me.
In terms of offensive coaches, I don't see anybody except for maybe Colin getting retained, and I think that's more his name.
I think maybe someone on the defensive side.
I said offensive.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear the offensive. Yeah, I think offensive is going to be pretty limited. I really do.
And honestly, there's no statistical reason that you should say Colin Klein. I mean, I think it's because you know that he's a bright mind and maybe with a little bit more experience under his belt.
Where did he coach a couple years ago?
He did coach at Northern Iowa.
Where's Chris Klieman from? Northern Iowa.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I was trying to think way back.
Yeah, that's his alma mater. So, yeah, I don't know. Just throwing that out there. He's probably was well aware. I mean, that's the league of what he did there. So I imagine Colin will be around. I have no inside knowledge on this yet because, Klieman hasn't weighed in on this probably. But I think Seiler and Norwood are in pretty good shape. I think K-State's defense, for what it was working with, particularly overall talent and injury-depleted talent, did a pretty good job. I think they're in pretty good shape. We'll see. But like Gene Taylor said, no candidate has any obligation to keep any one of these coaches. They were simply asking people to give them a look and talk to them. Don't just throw them out, which is exactly how I ended up with Riley.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Another new one from Wildcat Firefighter.
No, actually, he's not new.
He's been around.
Has he been around?
No.
He just doesn't post on
new on the podcast.
No. He DM'd me to change his name.
Oh.
So I'm not going to say who it is, but it is someone that has been on He changed his name.
For the correction.
And again, if you want to change your screen name, if it sucks or you're one of those Anon people, please change your name if you're an Anon. Just hit me up on the direct messages or email me at tim.fitzgerald@gopowercat.com. There's a dot in the middle of my name. I don't know why we did that, but I did that. Just email me.
It's a common email naming system.
I know. For a bigger company, there's 6 of us.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know. So anyhow, email me or hit me up on direct message. We'll get you a new screen name. It's pretty easy. I just changed someone to gorilla_cat, which seems a little conflict to me. Be a gorilla and a cat. But, hey, if it works for you.
His question is, or her question is, what type of qualities do you see Klieman having that are the same as Coach Snyder, and what differs?
I think this was a big part of it, guys. Discipline, family, commitment, character. The 16 goals may be defined differently, but they'll be there. Wouldn't surprise me if they stay up. I think that was a big part of this for Gene Taylor, that there won't be a culture shock. It's not going to turn into, I don't even know, Oregon under Chip Kelly.
Right.
It's not going to be culture shock. It's going to be very similar. I can almost guarantee you that Capac will persist. Those things he'll understand what they mean and why they're important.
Caring about Kansas State is one, and all you need to know, does Chris Klieman care about Kansas State, is go watch that video of Gene Taylor calling him and offering him the job. A, he doesn't waste a second answering him. B, it's not, I'll take the job or something like that. It's, I would love to be the next.
I'm jacked.
Yeah, I'm jacked. I think that you have a guy here that is really excited about what he gets to do, and is going to approach this with an enthusiasm. So many people are out here saying, we need this young-minded coach, this 37, 38, 40-year-old. You've got a 51-year-old with the excitement level of a 25-year-old, it seems like.
That thing's so overplayed.
It is.
Look, Lincoln Riley inherited the best roster, and the most dominant program as of late in the conference. It's easy to be successful. If you plop Lincoln Riley down, let's say he had to go to Texas Tech and pick up there, would he be doing what he's doing? No, he wouldn't be doing. But how did Cliff Kingsbury do? Remind
exactly.
me? Yeah, that's about as young and
he was fired by his alma mater.
Yeah, that's about as fits that criteria about as well as you want to.
That's the best quarterback coach in the country right there.
Yeah, he can flat out coach, but he's not a head coach. He's a great offensive coordinator, but he's not a head coach. Those qualities are much different. To be a head coach, there's a whole nother level there. So come on, I want someone with some experience too that's been around the block.
From Limestone Silo, what's your ceiling and what is your floor expectation for number of wins in year one for Klieman?
0 and 15. There we go. I'm going to be right.
I mean, yeah, if you're going to cast that net.
I'm going to be right. You're going to be right in the middle there.
I'm going to say 9 is the ceiling, 4 is the floor.
I was going the exact same place. You look at that schedule next year. Nickel State, he knows Nickel State's pretty good. I mean, they go in and beat people at this level. He knows how that works. Bowling Green, going to have a new coach, so that's probably very winnable. And, you get to go to Mississippi State. Go for it and have fun, coach. But he's not going to be scared of that because he's gone places with that FCS team that nobody apparently respects and won games.
Yeah.
And his players will know that. This dude has taken lesser respected troops into battle, and they've won. We want to follow this dude to Starkville and see if we can win.
And I think the Big 12 is not. Now I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to be completely wrong.
I do that all the time. Go ahead.
I don't see a world in where K-State's just so far out of the pack. I think Texas and Oklahoma will be really good teams. But we've criticized this year's team a lot, but let's be real. They were 5-7, but honestly could have been 7-5, 8-4, maybe even. I mean, this team has talent. Okay, you get the right guys coaching them, you get the right attitude inside the program, you're going to get back to that mark.
If he can solve the internal drama, calm all that crap down, all the nonsense that was going on behind the scenes, and that'll play into who's retained and who's not. If he gets everyone back on the same page, if he can make football fun while keeping it serious and disciplined, not jacking around time. Guys aren't having fun. Football's just not fun. It's just pure tedious. It's hard to get up. They look like they don't care at times because they're worn out mentally and physically. So if he can find that balance like Bill Snyder did in the early days, I think they're going to be in really good shape. But he does need to go find some solutions pretty quickly. He's got a good quarterback, and that's half the battle. If you're Skylar Thompson and you look at what he's done with quarterbacks at a lower level, you are freaking fired up. He's preparing guys for the league. His quarterback right now, what's his name again?
Easton Stick.
Is a throat clearing thing in there? Is that like a North Dakota thing?
I had
is that like
spit accumulating.
Oh. Okay. That guy might play in the league too. I mean, so if
he'll get a shot.
If you're Skylar Thompson, you're looking at this and go, yeah, I'm all in, man. I'm all in.
That's right. Like
From
we tweeted.
AZCat05, last question of the second half. What advice would you give Chris Klieman to be successful at K-State?
Don't run Prince it, and that means more than it means on the surface.
Yeah.
Because we've heard the horror stories, quote unquote, of what he did. Coming in and saying that this was all about him. This was his program now, and it is. I'm not encouraging Chris Klieman to bow down to Bill Snyder and to do literally everything the way that Bill Snyder did it. Clearly, that was not exactly the right way.
There's a more healthy balance.
Right. But don't forget where it came from. Don't lose your connection to the fan base because you've already got some people a little bit iffy. I don't know about this FCS guy. But if you come in and you completely wipe out everything Bill Snyder did and you just don't even acknowledge it, you're going to find yourself distanced pretty fast. So find that happy balance and get the fans really excited about you.
Amen, brother. Well, that's it for the second half of the Powercat Podcast, sponsored by Fridge Wholesale Liquor, and our sponsor this half was Wahoo Fire and Ice Grill. We got the overtime. For you newcomers to this, we do the first half and the second half, and what do we got cooking in the overtime?
A little bit of everything.
Serious questions?
A couple serious, a lot of fun.
Do we have some quick hitters?
No quick hitters. Well, there were a couple quick hitters asked, but
Didn't like them?
Didn't like them this week.
Do you like socks or sandals? That's it for the second half of the Powercat Podcast. We'll be right back.
The gang will return with more of the Powercat Podcast.
I'm trying to get a group text in on what everybody wants on the liquor store run, but my phone keeps autocorrecting liquor store to the fridge.
A fridge or the fridge?
The fridge. It just did it again.
Well, the Fridge is more than just a liquor store. The Fridge has over 3,000 wines in stock, the area's largest selection of spirits and craft beers. Plus, they're back-to-back winners of Beverage Dynamics Retailer of the Year.
Oh, I get it. Wow, smartphone.
Autocorrect your next liquor store visit to the Fridge Wholesale Liquor, 1150 Westport in Manhattan. Online at fridgeliquor.com.
For more than 20 years, there's only been one reliable source for exclusive and unmatched premium K-State sports news content. It's GoPowercat.com. The tradition continues as Tim Fitzgerald, D. Scott Fritchen, and the other Go PowerCat sports experts continue their relentless coverage of K-State sports. So make sure you're subscribing to the one and only Go PowerCat. Hey, K-State fans, it's time to come home to GoPowerCat.com. Back to Fitz of the Powercat Podcast, sponsored by Fridge Wholesale Liquor.
Welcome back to the Powercat Podcast. We're just hanging out here at the world headquarters in downtown Manhattan. It's good to have an office. I like our office. I'd love to be in Aggieville, but I dig this place. It's a really cool office. I got high ceilings.
We don't have a ghost.
We don't have a ghost like we did in Aggieville.
Guys keep jinxing it, I'm telling you.
We're building a little studio.
Kind of.
Eventually.
We've been a little busy. We actually, during the football season, had more time to work than we have down the home stretch here of football season and now.
Zach and I will move into our new office one day.
We're paying for it. We probably should get this done. We need to decide what we're doing with the studio and do it. But
Yeah, you guys keep bouncing ideas
I
around.
know. It's sad. We're a sad bunch of people. Anyhow, this is the Powercat Podcast, sponsored by Fridge Wholesale Liquor. We talk sports, we have fun, and we do it without our shirts on. Yeah, we do. We're all topless right now as we talk to you.
I took my hoodie off earlier.
Yeah, that was sexy. We're sponsored here in this segment by the Hilo, down in Aggieville. Pizza, burgers, new menu, which doesn't mean anything if you haven't seen the old menu. Pepperoni bricks that will make you fall in love with pepperoni bricks. They're not actually bricks. I tried to build something out of them, and they just kind of were slippery and got stale.
They're like sandwiches.
They can't
like
wait.
those-
What do you
I was
mean they got
surprised.
slippery and then got stale? Like,
Oh, let me point out, this is all you need to know about the pepperoni bricks. They're incredible dough with pepperoni in the middle, and they're absolutely soaked in butter.
Garlic butter.
Garlic butter. Unbelievable. They are so unhealthy. You would never fix this for yourself at home. But when you're at the high-low, you're not there for a workout. You're getting a beer out of the Milwaukee Roulette pop machine. You're, what?
you're not at this restaurant to work out.
Right. You're getting a beer, and you're getting some pie, and you're getting a burger.
No, you're getting pizza. You're getting pizza.
I appreciate people who use the word pie for
It's
pizza.
a pizza pie. That's what it's called. And you're doing other things, and you're hanging out with your friends because it's a great place to chill and hang out. Incredible staff. Say hi to Seth, the owner, manager, and general badass. He reminds me a lot of Jack Black when he grows his beard out.
Oh, okay.
Anyhow, that has nothing to do with anything. Hilo in Aggieville, right there in the middle of that 1,200 block. No, 1,100 block. Jeez. It was our block for 16 years. They were our neighbors. I just got the.
They're like 3 doors down
I'm
from our
telling
old
you,
place.
radiation brain is a real thing, and they're not even irradiating my brain. Maybe that's what I think with. Oh, that solves a lot.
And it's the overtime.
Yeah, welcome to the overtime. The overtime is the added-on stuff, the fun stuff. We do occasionally take some odds and end questions of serious nature because they didn't fit into the first 2 segments, but mostly we take your slap, questions and run with them. Here we go. Here's Zach with the overtime.
From Wildcat Wabash, what was a highlight and what was a low light from this coaching search?
The highlight was just the added traffic.
Oh, my gosh.
Without a doubt, our site has just gone through the roof.
It wasn't added traffic. We're up 500%. I mean, in a matter of weeks. But it started before the retirement. Like, we got traction beforehand, and now it's just taken off. And our numbers are fairly comparable to where we were when we left Rivals with an established site.
I mean, it's incredible, and we love it. The low light, and this isn't so much a low light anymore. We kind of touched on in the last podcast, but it just would have been really cool to break the news of either the retirement or the hiring. I mean,
it's really not as cool as you think. I do want to say this. There is, as a journalist, you're hardwired to break the news. That whole dimension has changed with Twitter. Someone's going to break it, and a guy who never even covers K-State got it from an agent probably and broke it. Bruce Feldman.
About hirings, it's going to come from national guys more than
anymore. It will. I mean, it just with Twitter. You used to have to break news on your own damn site. Now you just go on Twitter and type up a tweet.
And that's the thing is, let's say we had no idea that Chris Klieman, let's say he was a left field candidate, and we'd even gotten word first. Then you mess with the difficulty of, do we tweet it out? Do we wait, get a story up and put it out? And it's so hard.
One of the things that 24/7 came in and sat down with us just an incredible company, and said, we want to cover the process. You know, if you break it first, it's fine, but that's really not important here. Cover the process. Don't have a horse in this. Cover everyone involved and cover the process. And I think it was an incredible piece of advice. We did approach this differently than we have in the past. We haven't covered many coaching hirings. We just don't have them at K-State. And honestly, basketball with Bruce Weber, that just wasn't a big deal. And it was impossible to cover because John Curry hopped in his sedan and went off and hired someone without telling anyone. It was just the weirdest thing. Here's Bruce Weber. Like, what? Where'd that come from? And this was more of a national search. It's a high-profile sport at Kansas State. Everyone talks about it. So this was a process. We've covered the process, and we're not done. We're continuing to cover that process, spilling into hiring coaches and recruiting and all of that. All that information's coming from the staff at GoPowercat.com. The process doesn't stop. It's a whole new culture, a whole new thing, and we're going to be all over it. And I think we've proven, I pat ourselves on the back here, that we're really well plugged in. We got people out there for their own purposes that want to slander us, but we were all over this. But we weren't trying to guess who it was. We didn't have a horse in it. We were just trying to give analysis and what we were hearing to our people on the website. A lot of it was behind the paywall. And if you're not behind the paywall, you don't know what you missed, but you missed a lot. It's fun. And the best thing about the traffic isn't just the sheer numbers, which were incredible. It's so many new voices on the message board. Just the message boards have just absolutely taken off. We have, some friendly arguments going on, certain topics, Klieman and salary and those things. But they're still, for the most part, really respectful. There's no name calling, no just replying with, a smart-ass GIF.
GIF.
It's GIF.
Whatever.
2-1. It's GIF. And, it's a different culture of community. It's really fun. It's nice to have people that want to discuss K-State sports without calling each other dumbasses. Now back to my dumbasses.
Speaking of new names, here's another one. EMA 1240. How long until we accept Chrome into our uniform alternates?
I hope never. I hate Chrome.
Yeah.
It's not a color.
It's a good browser.
That's what I first saw when I read it.
Why are we talking about browsers? I'm not a big Chrome fan. I kind of just I want alternates without being wacky.
That's what I'm saying. You don't have to go over the top.
I don't want Oregon stuff where I don't ever want to use a non-school color unless it's something that makes sense, like black. Silver's not a school color, but it's been incorporated into colors. But I just don't want something weird out there where you're just like, why are you wearing that again?
K-State fans are so starved for an alternate right now that they would take anything. And I'm here to tell you those oversized logos on helmets are utterly, utterly ugly and ridiculous. But K-State fans would be all over it if they got it, and I would hate that.
But K-State fans, you don't have to do that. They'll be excited if you wear a white helmet with a purple Powercat.
Well, yeah,
that will be just crazy to do that on the road. Wear white pants, white shirt, white helmet. Nothing crazy at all.
God, so sexy.
I feel like Chrome is it was cool like a couple years ago. Right. It's kind of like first it was like the matte helmets, the flat looking helmets. Then it was Chrome.
Matte helmets are still cool.
They're still cool, but matte became a thing first.
Yeah.
I think is what I'm saying. And then you had kind of Oregon and TCU did the Chrome. A few others jumped in, but I don't think that there's that many Chrome. It peaked and it's died off a little bit. Not that it's not an option.
Those lavender Chrome things TCU wears once in a while. I liked them at first, and then I'm like, these guys, no.
I just think it's ridiculous wearing a mirror on your helmet, on your head.
Thanksgiving, we ran a great feature. Yeah. Oh, hold on. I can see myself in your helmet. By D. Scott Fritchen. He talked to Matt Stanley, who did Stanimal on Twitter, who did some great things. And he's right in my wheelhouse of what he wants. Nothing wacky. There's no cat claw scratches or, like Oregon's got the wings everywhere. None of that. It was all pretty much the Powercat. People loved the black helmet with the silver Powercat. I liked the white helmet with the purple Powercat. The purple helmet with the white Powercat. Just simple changes for me. And maybe one throwback. There was different varieties there.
Back to the classic K-State football.
Yeah.
Would you
No
go
win
back
seasons.
to the Stan Parrish Cats?
No, that was horrible. That wasn't attractive then.
Okay.
They looked like giant grapes.
Just
They were
curious.
an all-pro. That was horrible. I hated that.
I just meant the helmet itself.
No, I hated it. And I still hate it. And it represents such a miserable.
That's what I was trying to get at was, would you, if it was an alternate and it was done to kind of ramp it up, would you want to go back?
Guy almost killed
that time?
K-State football. Why would you bring back anything to remind anyone of that? I mean,
fair
literally,
enough.
they almost didn't even hire Bill Snyder because Stan Parrish, who came from the 1AA ranks, did such horrific damage.
Ringing endorsement.
Yeah, well, we've been through this before. He won national championship there at Marshall.
I better stop talking.
Yeah, I'll shut up now. Here's Zach.
From I Like Pickles Cat, what is the best Christmas movie?
Die Hard.
Home Alone 2.
Christmas Vacation,
Christmas Vacation.
without a doubt.
Yeah, Christmas Vacation. Yeah, Die Hard and Christmas Vacation.
I will watch Christmas Vacation in July if it's on. I know it's not on.
Die Hard's such a good Christmas movie, you don't even realize it is a Christmas movie.
I knew you were going to say that.
You don't even realize. You're like, wait, why does he keep calling it? It's a Christmas movie, people. Go watch it.
Christmas Vacation is right up my wheelhouse of comedy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, all those childish movies are in my wheelhouse.
I just like Home Alone, especially the second one, because it happened again. Like, he's just in New York City like, hey, that's the kid that got us the first time. Let's get him again.
So stupid.
Because the whole premise of the second one makes it so good is that he needed to be lost again. So he got lost again, having to be in a different city. But then he runs into the guys from the first movie.
Of course.
It's just,
I love watching Christmas
it's so
Vacation.
ridiculous. It's great.
My family won't watch Christmas Vacation with me anymore because I quote it.
Yeah, that's obnoxious.
From Estonia Cat, what's the best Christmas song?
It's a good question, Estonia. I think. What's the one?
It's Ludachristmas by Ludacris.
I don't know what that is. I'm going to have to listen to that. I'm an old Holy Night, old school guy.
Oh, God. Yeah. Okay.
All right. I like the origins of Silent Night. I think your music should have a little religious undertone to it.
Speaking as a Catholic who goes to church every week,
Ludachristmas.
In Latin.
I don't like. I hear those songs all the time. I hear them for 5 or 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It wears on me. Winter Wonderland.
Yeah, I'm not a big Christmas music guy.
I got it. It's the 12 Days of Christmas by Pentatonics. It's that by a mile.
And by the way, this entire podcast, if you haven't noticed, is a cappella.
Yeah.
No music support, except going in and out of breaks. But we don't actually hear that. I add that later. I'm sorry I'm ruining how all the production happens.
Darren Sproul's superfan asks, Bruce brought some goodwill with the NCAA run. How long till the Fire Bruce team gets back up and running?
I think they were.
They
were
are.
on Saturday. Oh God, that was bad. That was real bad, Fitz. Let's put it this way. I had 2 things I could have done at 4 p.m. on Saturday. One was continue watching the Kansas State basketball game. One was attend the engineering graduation at Kansas State. I think the engineering graduation would have been more entertaining.
It was awful. It was awful. Awful. I can't answer when because I don't know what they're going to do down the road. They were going to win Saturday against Georgia State. Right?
You would think, but they beat Georgia by 20. And then they went and beat another SEC team.
Okay, there you go. If they lose that, they're in big trouble. They go to Kansas City and lose their Vanderbilt team.
They're in trouble. If they lose 3 games in this non-con, that's not good.
They're in big trouble. I mean, if this team is on the bubble of the NCAA tournament with this roster, people will be out for them, and then they lose most of their talent.
That's what I'm saying. If you can't peak here, what are you doing? It's an interesting time.
It is.
From Limestone Silo, what did you think of the video showing Taylor's call to Klieman?
That was really cool.
I liked it. I knew they were going to do something like that. Got a heads up on it.
Do you think it was? So you think it was the official one, like the call? Mm-hmm. Okay, I didn't know. You know, sometimes
he might have texted him and said, "Hey, dude, I'm going to call you and offer this job." Act excited.
Although at the same time, he was like,
because you got to make sure he's going to say yes.
Well, at the same time, he was at practice.
Yeah, that makes me think it was real.
He was like, "Oh, you're not done practicing?" He's like, "No, we go till 6:30 or whatever."
Way to go, boss. Weren't paying attention to his practices, apparently. Yeah, I thought it was cool. I loved his, I'm jacked.
It's kind of cool to get seen that behind the scenes.
I thought it was good because as much negativity around Klieman that there was, you know, when it was reported that he was going to be offered the job, actually seeing it happen and go down and just kind of, it let the fans be a part of the process.
I agree.
And it I don't know what, but there was kind of that there's an emotional connection there that you have being able to see, you know, the moment he was offered the job. And I think it told a good story. And I think it kind of saved face a little bit for, you know, the athletic department, you know, for Gene at least, you know, being his buddy or whatever.
I love that he calls him big boy.
Big boy, big man.
What do you think, big boy? All right.
And furthermore, I think it helped people understand Gene a little bit.
Yeah.
He's a pretty cool dude. It's easy. Gene's so reserved and doesn't want to do a bunch of the social media stuff that his predecessor did. People haven't quite gotten to know him as well. They think he's stoic and stuffy and not fun and kind of a jerk, and he's really the opposite. He's pretty quiet, and he's hard to read at times, which made him perfect to handle a coaching hire. He was a pretty cool customer. But, yeah.
Needs to tweet more about flying out of Manhattan.
No, never.
Okay. From Boots A, name 3 places in Manhattan that are overrated and 3 that are underrated. You can even name things like the Manhattan Hill sign instead of businesses to protect future podcast sponsors.
It's hilarious that he mentioned that because that's literally one of the things on my list.
You guys ate today at one of the things I think is overrated.
Oh,
I really do.
I mean, I like the other one.
Well, I'll say the other one's overrated because it is.
We're talking about early edition. Now, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It serves a purpose. I don't get
Zach and I
that.
went to early edition. First time I've been to early edition. I'd still much rather go to the Chef.
I think that the Chef is overrated. It's not worth waiting at. Early edition has 2 restaurants, and you can get in quicker and get an equal or better meal.
Disagree. It's funny, though, that he mentions the Manhattan Hill, the KS Hill, whatever, because that's literally on my list of the most exaggerated Manhattan things. That and hiking the Kanza Prairie. That's the cliche sorority girl got to post a picture to Instagram thing.
Hold on. This is my problem with hiking the Kanza Prairie. It's supposed to be the prairie. It's supposed to be the wild, right? It's supposed to be getting out in nature. Don't bring your dog.
Yeah.
Because it's a research.
Well, if it's a
track of
research thing,
land.
why let people walk through it?
Keep us all off of it.
Well,
I mean, I could be out there smoking my ganja and throw it down and set off a fire. My dog
That's
wouldn't be doing that. My
super
dog
illegal.
doesn't even smoke.
What
I don't think.
What damage is a dog doing?
well, when you let dogs just run free everywhere and you get into the grass or whatever,
I don't say run free, but
Keep them on a leash.
people are mostly going to stick to the paths. That's why. If dogs aren't allowed out there because people ruined it. There are people that ruin that. That's why it's a rule. People couldn't
That's
follow the
true.
rules, stay on the trails, and there's no dogs out
Hey,
there.
the most overrated thing Manhattan's ever done is the Flint Hills Discovery Center.
Yeah.
What a boondoggle that is.
Absolutely.
make a whole museum about grass.
Nobody likes
I
to
don't
do
know
it.
why people aren't coming to this museum about grass. Come on, man. It should have been a damn tornado museum. And it even looks like a tornado. It looks like a tornado. It's got the vortex thing on the backside. It is costing taxpayers in this town like $250,000 a year to keep the doors open. It is so stupid. They got to change that to something educational because they got a grant for it, But make it fun. People want to come see it. Make it about settlers, how the region was settled, the ethnic people that were here, the mastodons that were here. Maybe the Flint Hills Discovery Center has that, but I sure as hell don't know they do. I don't get it, man.
Most underrated. This is interesting because I do a lot of cliche places.
You know what the most underrated is?
What?
The Fridge Wholesale Liquor at the corner of Claflin and Westport Drives.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay.
I just work that in.
I think Cox Brothers is very underrated.
I think people respect. There is respect on Cox Brothers' name.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'd really love to have a kind of a true pit barbecue place in town.
Yeah, that'd be fun. The movie theater's incredible, but that's coming from a guy that never had a movie theater like this growing up. So
no, I would agree. For this market, that's a pretty damn nice movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, that's hard. Underrated. Oh, we just talked about one. Anna's Burger Shack.
Yeah?
It's all right.
That's locally owned business.
Campus Barbershop. Best haircut I've ever gotten.
Yeah.
You had to bring it up.
Thanks,
here.
Zach.
Really? You go to campus, huh?
Now I do because Zach suggested it. Yep. I don't know why Zach goes, though. Zach hardly has any hair.
Yeah. Hey, I like Dylan. I like Brian. They're my guys.
It's fair.
Good enough.
I'm the only one here that has real hair.
I don't know. I'm trying.
That's a tough one off the spot of the head. I like Porter's. If you're looking for a bar that is...
Porter's is an old school bar.
Yeah. It's fun, but it's not party...
But it's not too fun. You know what I mean?
It's not too collegey.
Yeah, it's not too collegey. You can sit in a booth and have a good conversation with your friends, but it's also, you can get a little wild if you'd like to. It's a nice balance of everything. I love Porter's. And plus, they have a little patio area, and there's something about in the summertime being able to drink outside.
Okay, if we're gonna stick with bars, I think not enough people appreciate how amazing Annie Mae's is. A lot of people do, but it's just a really cool. You think about it; it's a basement bar. It's really unique to Aggieville.
Yeah.
It's really cool. But I think if I had to name one bar that people don't appreciate because I didn't, because I never went in it, because it looked like I'd get claustrophobic, but I'm just so happy to be there, is O'Malley's Alley.
Yeah.
That shotgun wide bar. It's got always good service because there's,
2 seats.
At most you can get 15, 20 people in there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Although O'Malley's is starting to pick up steam. And so people are spilling over into the alley and
That's not
everywhere.
Good. That's not good. Okay, is that done?
I don't know what's underrated. I can't think of anything. Early edition, according to you, I guess.
Fair enough.
For my like pickles cat, if you were on death row, what would your last meal be?
Easy. Easiest question in the world. Raspberry black bean dip, a chicken club taco, and a steak El Mexicano taco with a Nancy to wash it all down.
So he's apparently going
I'm going to Taco Lucha in case you don't
Taco
know.
Lucha.
I'm not gonna lie, death row is really intriguing to me. Just the whole stuff. It's all intriguing. Last
that's
meals,
good,
I love this.
I got something I need you to take care of.
Well, good thing we live in Kansas and they haven't done anything. I'd probably be one of those guys that gets like the whole meal from KFC. I don't really eat KFC that much, but like it's just such like a.
I swear to God, if your last meal is KFC,
It's a death penalty meal. It's like I'm out in the middle of nowhere. What's the closest restaurant to us? Oh, it's a KFC. I want a bucket of chicken, some mashed potatoes, and some biscuits. I'm gonna die tomorrow.
I know what you're up to.
What?
Oh, you're going to kill me? You're going to make me sit here and electrically shock me? Well, I'm going to crap all over your chair when I go. Probably my mom's lasagna, which I love. And, that's probably it. Just a whole pan of that, and I'm going to eat it all. Actually, I want to do that. Do I have to kill anyone? Mom, do I have to kill anyone to get the lasagna? Okay, I'll see if she answers me later.
From Darren Sproul Superfan, name the one gift you'll always remember getting. For him, it was a Nintendo Entertainment System when he was 7.
It's a tough question, Darren Sproles.
I know mine.
Oh, for me, it's not so much the gift itself. It was my high school letter jacket when I was a freshman, because I opened up the box and there's a set of car keys to my dad's pickup, and I'm like, oh sweet, I get the pickup. And then I go to the pickup, and like the jacket was in the pickup, so like that was like the quote unquote clever way of disguising it. So it's memorable because that's how I received it.
Did you steal the truck?
No, my brother wrecked it about 3 years later, and now it's gone.
Way to go, bro. Is that the same bro we talk about?
Yeah.
It wasn't the
Tyson.
little one?
You said freshman. You said you got your letter jacket freshman year. That was college, right?
What?
It's a joke about how you didn't leave your Letterman jacket in high school.
You brought it to campus.
Well, it's because I had to move. It's in my house. I had to move out. Guys, I don't have a room in Beloit anymore.
They kicked him out.
The year that I went to college, I lost everything. I had to take it with me.
In the eyes of an angel.
It's bullcrap. I go home and I have to sleep on a couch.
I don't remember childhood gifts. I'm 54 years old, by God.
You've had 54 Christmases and you can't pick one gift.
I think I got a telegraph machine.
What?
That's how old I am. I lived before phones.
And then we went and played jacks down at the soda fountain.
Yeah, I think I got a badass bike once. I don't know. I don't remember my childhood. I drank too much.
Mine was 2002. I was 10 years old. I got a PlayStation 2 from Santa with NCAA 03 with Joey Harrington on the cover. I played that game so much. But also the thing is, like, I didn't ask for a PS2. I don't think I had any sort of video game. I mean, I might have had a Game Boy, but like I didn't really game. Like I did, like it was just like a complete surprise and shock to me.
I just remembered. I just remember. You don't remember this, but have you seen the old school handheld football games where
Tech Mobile?
Well,
The ones with the little dots.
The little dots.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
You move the dots, and they're
yeah.
trying to tackle you, and moving them around. I wore those things out, and I got so good at them. It was ridiculous. Oh, it was kind of like being Oklahoma's offense.
At one time, they had one of those for iPhone, or like an app for iPhone. I played that quite a bit.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Next question's from Powercat Mama. I'll be helping plan a tailgate in September for a bunch of pissed off K-State alumni and friends who will show up despite being annoyed about the coaching hire.
Okay.
What should we serve?
Easy, right? Bison burgers.
Yeah,
Crow.
Buffalo burgers, absolutely.
No, not Crow. Okay.
No.
Oh, Crow. That's a good one.
Yeah. No,
Bison burgers.
Buffalo burgers, absolutely. I'm for it. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, no, you'll be fine. Everyone will be fine. They'll be fine. They'll get over this.
They'll be okay in like 3 days on Saturday when he'll be coaching. At one of these basketball games when he shows up at midcourt to say hello or whatever.
You might be there Saturday night.
No way.
They play Friday in Fargo. We could be down here in no time.
Fair.
Is he going to blow a kiss?
You know what?
Over under.
They might have recruits in.
Could. If he blows a kiss, I wouldn't.
Over
Okay,
under
look.
1.5 blown
I'd leave
kisses.
that with Bill Snyder.
Look.
Also a little weird.
Did Coach Snyder bring back the kiss blowing, or is it just something he got away with?
He got away with it because it's socially acceptable for an elderly man to do that.
Okay, so here's my
It's a
problem.
little weird if a 51-year-old does it to a crowd of students.
That's my problem. So I was out with some buddies, and I picked up some drinks, sent some drinks over to someone, and I'm drunk. I'm on a business trip. I'm not in Manhattan, not in Eggville. I blew a kiss to the table.
Fitz.
I know. As soon as I did it, I'm like, what a douche I am.
Fitz.
I don't know. Maybe it was cool in Atlanta. I'm not sure.
Wait, was I there?
You were not there at that point.
Is that when I went back to the
That was when
different bar?
We left the fine dining establishment that we were at, and
yeah, you went.
Tad and I and Tim Beisel wandered over to a bar
I went with the younger kids.
that our waitress recommended we go to this bar, and I get there and realized I had been in this bar before. It was like one of those deja vu moments, and then you realize, no, I actually have been here when I was here on business 2 years ago. It was so weird. Of all the bars in downtown Atlanta, I get sent to that bar. But then her and like all the employees from the fine dining establishment we were at were there, and so I bought around for them.
fine dining
It
establishment.
was a Hooters.
It was a Hooters. Okay, we ate at Hooters. There weren't many restaurants around. This was in walking distance. We ate at Hooters like 2 or 3 times.
It's funny as I was there too. Like I don't remember any of this.
Let me put this in context. I had met up with my buddy Tad, and if you've been following my little journey, you know about Tad because he had prostate cancer. I had just found out, in all likelihood, I had prostate cancer. So we got freaking hammered that night, and I was spending money like crazy. So yeah, but that if you've been following my journey in my blog, that context of all that will fall into place. We ate together at a restaurant. It was a Hooters.
The last question
That's it.
of the podcast comes from all the way from Estonia.
Oh man, he's in 2 segments, isn't he?
From Estonia Cat. What was the dumbest possible news that you actually spent man hours chasing during this
This
search?
is so easy.
We got to tell it, right?
Okay, guys, go.
Zach, take it.
So we get a text from, was it Marcus?
Yeah.
I think it was Marcus. He was on FlightAware, and he's like, there's this flight from Mississippi that's landing in Salina and going on to, eventually go on to somewhere in Wyoming, I think Cheyenne, Wyoming, and then on to Bend, Oregon. I'm like, oh, that's weird. The thing is about this flight is that it was originally scheduled from Mississippi to Cheyenne, Wyoming. Right in the middle of that is Salina, Kansas, and it diverts. So it's just like, we're flying along. Salina's here. Boom. They're on the ground for, 20, 30 minutes, whatever it is. That was the day that Gene Taylor was supposed to be flying somewhere. He was gone. We don't know where he is. And we couldn't figure out where he was. We're like, if he's flying, he's not going to be out of Manhattan. So our theory was that he drove to Salina, got on that plane, and then flew on to Wyoming, which refueled or whatever in Cheyenne, and then flew to Bend, Oregon.
There was a flight from Eugene to Bend, Oregon.
And then that morning, there was a flight from Eugene, Oregon to Bend, Oregon. So our theory was that Gene was meeting with Jim Levitt or his representation, and then they'd meet for an hour or whatever, take a flight from Bend to Portland, which is where it was going, and then Gene would fly back commercial back to Salina via United Airlines through Denver.
It's easy. Portland to Denver, Denver to Salina. That's how quickly you can get. Well, actually, Eugene goes also to Denver direct and into Salina.
Yeah. So we're tracking this all day.
Right.
We're mapping it out. We find out it's
gets
landing,
better, folks.
landing in Salina at
It's like 11:50, something like that.
And
It's a late flight coming in Salina.
Zach says, I'll go. And
Which is really troubling because it's my hometown and I know the streets are rolled up by then. I don't know how you get to the airport.
I'm thinking, whatever. Well, I guess we'll see, whatever. Zach's like, I'm going regardless. I'm going to see if he's on this plane. All right, fine. So we talk about it. Fitz and Zach and I go to Chili's.
We go to Chili's
to have dinner because we've been tracking this flight all day.
How many freaking times are we going to advertise for Chili's?
Okay.
It was good.
I ate at Chili's, talked, come back to the office, and Zach and I are. I'm ready to go to Salina. I said, hey, let's get in the car. Might as well go that way, just in case, whatever. Zach had to get his 10,000 steps in or something like that. So he wanted to. Granted, remember, this is at like 9:30 p.m.
Yeah, we had an hour.
We're planning on leaving at 10:30. So Zach's going to drive home, which takes you 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's going to walk around his basement.
I don't want to talk about that.
To get his steps when he just could have done it in our back. No, this is important because it leads up to what I'm going to get to with the hecticness.
Not really.
You would have been better off staying in the office, using the warehouse space
That's what I'm
currently
saying.
behind us, and walking laps.
That's not the part. I get home, and I'm at home on my iPad walking around.
That's where I was getting.
And I'm looking, and I'm like, wait a minute. The flight from Hayes is leaving here in however long. Like, the flight was going to show up super early compared to what FlightAware said.
If you had been doing your steps here, you would have taken Riley on this.
Exactly.
journey.
Right.
So I literally pull into my driveway, and my phone starts ringing, and Zach is like yelling into the phone.
Well, I mean, we had to go.
He's flying down the road.
I mean, regardless of what I was doing, we were going to meet back at Fitz's house to take his car. There was going to be no time for that because of how we miscalculated the flight. It didn't matter.
Miscalculate. It was ahead of schedule.
Okay, yeah. But, I mean, we could have looked at the Hayes flight or the Denver to Hayes flight. We could have looked into it better. Turns out, if I would have just done some better math on the times in the beginning, we would have realized Gene Taylor was never going to be on that flight.
I'm coaching Zach up the whole time. I'm like, here's what you need to ask Gene when he gets off the plane. Guys, we were set that Gene Taylor was on this flight.
Look, I had been a party of this the whole team, and finally, I text Riley and go, he's not going to be on this flight, right? I mean, this is how these things work. You convince yourself of this alternate reality.
There was no way he wasn't on it.
Yeah, and he wasn't on the flight.
And then I walked around the parking lot looking for any sort of cars that might have his license plate or something that he might drive.
Guys, he wasn't on the plane.
No, he wasn't.
So
anywhere.
that is all true, but the most unbelievable part of this story, United Airlines was running a flight ahead of schedule. It's hard to believe, but they were actually running on or ahead of schedule with a flight out of DIA to Hayes to Salina.
When this is all said and done.
How big are those planes? Are they the same kind that come into MHK, the smaller ones?
It's either a CRJ 100 or 200, which are basically the
English.
same. It's a 50-seat.
Oh, so it's basically like the ones that come in here.
Similar to what flies to Chicago.
Right. And they fly to Dallas quite a bit in the down seasons.
When all this Klieman stuff calms down, we are getting Gene Taylor either on or off the record, and we're going to find out if somebody was on that plane. There's too many dots. I still believe it.
He's going to look at you like, what are you talking about? Here was the clincher, though. That flight came out of Mississippi, but it came out of the suburb of Mississippi just south of Memphis. And that's where most of these coaches involved in the search, their agency is located.
Again, too many dots to not make sense.
That's it. That was the great goose chase of the 2018 coaching hire, and it's always fun. They got around FlightAware by doing video conferencing.
That's sly, you know what.
Very, very smart. And also far less expensive than chartering flights everywhere. That's it for the Powercat Podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. It got a little long today, but you deserve it because you've been through a stressful period. Remember to keep checking in at GoPowercat.com. The special's still running. If you're not a subscriber, get on board right now. That special will end pretty soon. I'm not sure. 24/7 hasn't told me when it will expire, but basically it's coming up pretty quickly now that they've hired a coach. So if you want to get on that 3 months free for signing up for 1 month, 4 months for the price of one, get over to GoPowercat. Just click on join and sign up for monthly, and you will be golden. You'll be on the inside, and we're going to take you on this journey. It's going to be fun. Chris Klieman, Kansas State's new football coach, introductory Wednesday at noon at the Steel and Pipe, theater?
Yeah.
Right there inside the veneer. It is not, I repeat, it is not open to the public, unfortunately. But we'll have complete coverage as we do with everything related to K-State sports at GoPowercat.com. Thanks to the Fridge, thanks to Tanner's, Wahoo Fire and Ice Grill, and the High-Low. All great establishments that all get their liquor from the fridge.
Powercat Podcast. All rights reserved. GoPowercat.com and Spirit Street Publishing.